Hey there, YouTube's Chris Holman here. It is Saturday, April 7th, 2018. It is about 5:30 in the afternoon. And so this being a vlog post here, I'm going to try to keep this as short as I can, but just bear with me, this may be a long video. So you guys have seen this, right? In Deerfield, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, they put into effect an assault weapons ban for their city or town. And the residents there have 60 days to turn in their assault weapons, which assault weapon is a made-up term. It doesn't really describe anything. But they have 60 days to turn it in, or they will be subject to a $1,000 per day fine. 60 days, that's $60,000. 100 days, that's $100,000. You see how this is ridiculous. Not only that, it is illegal and unconstitutional. A federal judge recently ruled that an assault weapons ban does not infringe upon the Second Amendment. And we've previously had an assault weapons ban from 1994 to 2004. Statistics have shown it had no effect whatsoever on gun violence. So real quick, this is an AR-15. This is a precision AR-15, 18-inch Raven match barrel, 1-in-7 twist. It is 223 wild, stainless steel. I mean, this is an amazing barrel, but this is not a military grade barrel. It's more accurate, but it does not have the longevity. There's no way that this barrel would last through some type of long, campaign and war. But the most important feature is an assault rifle, which is the only term that actually has that is actually a real term. Is a rifle that has a selective fire feature, meaning from safe to semi and either 3-round burst or full auto. This, it's on safe to semi. That's it. That's it. That's the only feature. It's a semi-automatic precision rifle. That's all this is. Magazine fed. This is not a military grade weapon. Now, according to the Second Amendment and our founders, it is our civil right to be armed equally to the military. And I'm going to get to that. So in this video, I am going to destroy the gun control argument. I'm just going to destroy it right here. So I will start by reading the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. We've all heard this, but what exactly does it mean? Well, I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter what I think it means, or what some judge, federal judge, or even what the Supreme Court thinks that they think that it means. What matters is what the intent of the founders who wrote it. And I'm going to prove it. On every occasion of constitutional interpretation, let us carry ourselves back to the time when the Constitution was adopted. Recollect the spirit manifested in the debates, and instead of trying to force what meaning may be squeezed out of the text or invented against it, instead let us conform to the probable one in which it was passed. Thomas Jefferson, letter to William Johnson, June 12th, 1823. Now that tells me that in the 1820s, there was already a discussion of what did the Constitution and the Bill of Rights mean. And he's saying there right there, it doesn't matter what you and I think it means, it's the intent of the founders. Now I'm going to go into some other quotes. from the writings of our founders that will make that perfectly clear. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. A well-regulated militia composed of the body of the people, trained to arms, is the best and most natural defense of a free country. James Madison, First Annals of Congress 434, June 8, 1789. No free man shall ever be debarred the use of arms. Thomas Jefferson, Virginia Constitution, Draft 1, 1776. So, in the quote from James Madison, where he speaks of a well-regulated militia composed of the body of the people, that's still not quite clear enough, because that could be interpreted as meaning a well-regulated militia composed of the body of the people. They could say, okay, that means the National Guard or the military. Well, let's make this perfectly clear. I ask, who are the militia? They consist now of the whole people, except a few public officers. George Mason, address to the Virginia Ratifying Convention, June 4th, 1788. So then those first four words of the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia, is clearly defined as the American people. And it is necessary to the security of a free state to maintain our liberty, is what that means. To maintain our liberty. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. You could say, well, where are you getting that interpretation? A militia, when properly formed, are in fact the people themselves and include, according to the past and general usage of the states, all men capable of bearing arms to preserve liberty. It is essential that the whole body of the people always possess arms and be taught alike, especially when young, how to use them. Richard Henry Lee. The right of the citizens to keep and bear arms has justly been considered as a palladium of the liberties of a republic. Listen to this. This is key. Since it offers a strong moral check against the usurpation and arbitrary power of rulers, and will generally, even if these are successful in the first instance, enable the people to resist and triumph over them. Joseph Story, Commentary on the Constitution of the United States, 1833. It is perfectly clear from this, from what I've read, from what you have heard, that the Second Amendment is not about hunting. And it's not entirely about self-defense either, though that is part of it. It is about ensuring that the American people, that the power lies in them and the ability to ensure that our government never becomes tyrannical. Never. It is our line of defense. The power lies in the people. That is the intent of our founders when they formed this great nation. It is we, the people. Not those in our state houses, not those in Washington. They serve us. They are there to represent us, to be our voice in government. They are not the voice. They are our voice. We hold the power in our vote when we on election day, and in our last safeguard against tyranny, and that being the Second Amendment. And it is the Second Amendment that ensures that all the other rights enshrined in our Constitution and the Bill of Rights are preserved. So long as we have the Second Amendment, they cannot take them away. And the last bit, an argument that we hear often from gun control advocates is that no one needs to have military-grade weapons. No one needs an AR-15. And a response often given, and I've given this myself, it's not about need, it's a want. It's what I want. There's no other right that requires a need. But there is a need. And that need is the preservation of liberty. This here will kill any statement or argument that says we are not permitted to have military-grade weapons or an AR-15. If circumstances should at any time oblige the government to form an army of any magnitude, that army can never be formidable to the liberties of the people while there is a large body of citizens, little, if at all, inferior to them in discipline and the use of arms, who stand ready to defend their own rights and those of their fellow citizens. This appears to me the only substitute that can be devised for a standing army and the best possible security against it, if it should exist. Alexander Hamilton, Federalist number 28, January 10th, 1788. See, it is perfectly clear here. The intent of the founders for the Second Amendment, for the entirety of our Bill of Rights. Everything can be found in the writings so wonderfully preserved of our founding fathers and those who framed those documents. And they have made it perfectly clear. And I have so many more quotes from our founders that I can go into. So many more. But it is our civil rights. Yes, owning a firearm is our civil right. It is our civil right to be as armed equal to that of the military. It is our civil right. Therefore, all current gun restrictions in this country are a violation of our civil rights as an American people. And it hinders our ability to stand up against tyranny if and when it raises its head in Washington, D.C. or in our state governments. There was a quote I want to read, and or not read, but I will recite for you, and I don't exactly remember who said it. It's an American quote. From time to time, the tree of liberty must be watered by the blood of tyrants and patriots. I believe I got that right. The tree of liberty. See, when a government becomes tyrannical, that government cannot be removed and liberty restored unless the people themselves have the ability to do so. And so the Second Amendment is there to ensure that we, the people, maintain the power in this country, and that we, the people, have the means to resist our government if at any time it becomes tyrannical. Therefore, the Deerfield, Illinois assault weapons ban is unconstitutional as in infringing upon the civil rights of its residents. The assault weapons ban, national civil assault weapons ban from 1994 to 2004 was also a violation of Americans' civil rights. It is our civil right to own a .249 SAW or a .240 Bravo medium machine gun. It is our civil right to own that. We are to be armed equal to the military. Therefore, the Hughes Amendment is unconstitutional from the 1980s that banned ownership and sale of any firearm manufactured after 1986. Unconstitutional. There are some concessions that can be made. No firearms in the hands of felons. I can go with that. Background checks. I can go with that to ensure that felons don't get their hands on firearms. I'm even willing to, so long as, Americans are not denied their due process, but measures that could be set in place to ensure that those who are deranged and severely mentally ill do not get their hands on firearms. I'm willing to make those concessions. Let this be known that this is my stance. We, the people, reserve the right. It is a right that we have inherent, unalienable, given to us by God. Not just for self-defense, but to depose our own government if and when it would ever become tyrannical. That is our right. I pray that never happens. And I pray that this gun control debate ceases. So I think that it's important at this point then for me to frame who exactly are these really those that would deny us our civil rights. So I leave you with this last quote. Necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedom. It is the argument of tyrants. It is the creed of slaves. William Pitt the Younger, speech in the House of Commons, November 18th, 1783. Now that being a British quote. But nonetheless, it applies. It is important that all of us, all Americans, stand up for our civil rights. This is a civil rights issue. This isn't a gun owner's issue. This is a civil rights issue and should be treated as such. I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. Thomas Jefferson, letter to James Madison. They that can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin. The gun control debate is over. Not an inch, not one. You give them an inch, they'll take it a mile. No more. Not only should we not give an inch, we should take back that which we lost. The Hughes Amendment repealed. NFA repealed. Period. Period. Assault weapons ban unconstitutional. The American people should have access to the exact same weaponry that the United States military has per our founders. It is their intent that matters. And to say, well, then they had no way of knowing that weaponry would advance to the stage that it is today. Oh, they most assuredly did. Are you telling me the advances of the previous 300 years, 400 years was lost to them? And that they in no way could fathom that firearm technology would advance? They most assuredly knew. Say, oh, well, they didn't have fully automatic firearms in the 18th century. Well, they actually did. Crude as it was. But there were those that were in fact in existence. They were not what we would traditionally today look at as being full auto, but they had the ability to fire multiple rounds with one pull of the trigger. By definition, that is full auto. It wasn't about muskets. It wasn't about muskets at all. It's time that we stand up for our rights, our civil rights. Do not allow these tyrants to take away our God-given, unalienable rights. Thank you for watching. Everybody have a great day. God bless you. God bless America.